Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review we are looking at the Robot Damashii, or the Robot Spirit Side MSR number 058 Destiny Gundam. This is one of the older ones. It's the last one that I actually really want to get. There are a few that I'm probably going to pick up that are not current releases, but this guy is one of my favorite looking mobile suits, so I had to finally pick him up. Plus, he comes with a whole bunch of stuff. Instead of having an option set like the Strike Freedom did for the wings, this guy just comes with everything right in the package, so I was really psyched to get him. Now when you first take him out of the package, these wings are not connected. You're going to have to do that. It's just a peg that goes right in, right underneath those silver rods. There's a peg that goes in this way, so no big deal. You're not missing anything by me having those pre-assembled. So the articulation for the wings is pretty basic. It just tabs in or pegs in right here, goes into the backpack like that. So we can obviously swivel around that peg, and then we have this hinge right here. And then we have one more hinge that controls the entire wing. Then we just have the individual pieces that can hinge. So the whole thing is connected to this. We can hinge the top independently from that, then we can hinge this one independently from that. And it should give you all the versatility you need for the posing. It really has a decent displayability, so I'm pretty happy with it, even though it's one of the more basic figures since it's one of the earlier ones. Really no problem with these wings at all. I think they're just fine. Make sure when you put them in, you don't just ram them in there though. You put them at a little bit of an angle, and it feels like they're going down at an angle like this. I think it's actually horizontal perfectly, but you'll see when you get it. Don't just push really hard. It doesn't take as much force as you will initially think. Anyway, he is one of the smaller suits because he's one of the older ones, so oops, let's keep the crown on there, buddy, or V-fin or whatever you want to call that. So the one thing about this guy is when you knock his thing off, it's a little tricky to get back on just because it goes in at an angle. But there we go. So his height is, like I said, he's a little short. He's only 5 inches tall, which in centimeters is about 12.5. So he's definitely small, but he has probably the best proportions of any of the Destiny Gundam figures that I have seen. Sure, the metal build looks awesome, and it has pretty similar proportions to this, I think. But this guy, for the price point, definitely a good version if you like the Destiny Gundam. Like he said, like I said, he comes with a whole bunch of stuff. So let's go through the accessories. Okay, so the first thing he does come with his own display stage, so you don't have to buy anything special for him, so that's really nice. And in order to use this, he comes with a little thing that snaps onto his butt so that you can hold him up, so that's really cool. He comes with an alternate fin, which is flexible, so if you're worried about breaking one, this one is slightly less rigid and you won't have as much of a chance of breaking it. He comes with one of these shields, which feels really flimsy, but it's a nice translucent plastic with the shading on there, so that's cool. And all you do to use this is that yellow piece that's on that forearm or on that hand guard, you pop that off and this one pegs in place, and it can rotate on there, so no big deal, real simple to swap out. He comes with this shield, which is kind of cool. It seems a little basic and small, and that just pegs into the forearm guard right there, or right there. But the cool thing about this is you can pop off this bottom half and then snap it on, and he's got the extended shield, so that's pretty nifty. Now if I call anything by the wrong name, I apologize. It's been ages since I saw this series. He also has his, why do I always forget the name of these things? Whatever, his gun. He's got his gun. It has the side grip that swings out if you want to use it, and then this thing also moves. Nice little gun, nice little red paint job on there. The rest is pretty much just the gray with that white spot up there. But still, nice little piece. One of the cool features about the gun, and it's not obviously a really big deal, but the gun has a little tab on the side right there, and you can tab that in to the back of his skirt armor so that when he's not using it, it'll stay in there. It's a really tight fit, and there it goes, and it stays in there. Now I generally don't store the guns on the back like that just because it gets in the way of posability, but it is an option. It is part of the figure, so you can do that if you want to. He comes with a giant gun which connects to his back, and I'll show you that in a minute. And then this folds out to be his big cannon with a handle and trigger on the side right there. So that'll swing out. I guess I'll just show you now. So this goes up on his back, and then this also can slide. So that's kind of a cool feature. So this goes on his back right here. He's got two of these things. and they are hinged. Well, actually it's a ball peg. So there's a ball peg where it connects right here, so these can move all around. And then they also have a swivel where they connect right here. But the gun goes on this side, and it goes, that tab right there goes in that tab spot right there. If I can do this on camera without, there we go, without breaking the figure. So that goes up there, and that's for just for storage. Or you can swing it around, and it goes under the wing and under the arm. And then slide this forward, and he's got his big, whatever it's called, cannon that he can fire from the hip like that. And of course you can use his trigger finger hand to hold it. So that's what goes on this side. And then of course we have the one item for the other side, which snaps on right here. This piece goes into that, and it just kind of slides down over it. I guess you could probably push it in, but I've had better luck sliding it. So that stores right there. And I'll take a photo at the end so you can see what he looks like with all of his stuff. But this is his giant sword that folds open like this. It has a really nice silver blade on here, nice paint job throughout. These parts fold down. A lot of the photos have that up. I'm pretty sure it's supposed to stay down once it's out. And then the cool thing about this is you also get an energy blade that goes in there. So this just tabs in down here, and then it tabs in up here, and you've got the energy blade. Now this guy is old, like I said, and he's been sitting in the package for a long time. So my energy blade is not perfectly straight. It's got a little bit of warping going on, and that tabs in right there. But that tab holds it in place mostly, and probably a little hair dryer or hot water would straighten it out. But still very cool. A long sword for this guy. Taller than he is, but he can hold it, so that's pretty cool. He's got that big giant sword. So those are some cool accessories, but that's not all. We also have the standard energy swords or beam sabers, and the handles are actually up here in the shoulder pads if you're not familiar with the character. So these just pop out, if I can get it to pop out. Same thing on this side, but I'll just do the one for now. So those just tab in. So that's his energy sword. He holds it on this side like that. And then we have this guy that goes on here. Gives us a little bit of like a flash effect. Then we have the short one. And then we also have the long one. And by the way, the translucent pink plastic they use, super vibrant pink, looks really good. I don't know how well that's showing up for you, but it is really nicely colored. So we have that, and then we also have these wings that snap into his wings that are already on him. Let's see, am I zoomed in? I'm not. So it's going to be hard for me to show you this guy because he starts to take up a lot of space pretty quickly once you put these on. And I'll do that in the photos, and I'll show you how to do it. But I'm not going to leave them on, obviously, for the review. They're shaded, so they're like white here, and then they fade out to the translucent pink. Very vibrant again. Looks really cool. And all you have to do to put these on, and they are universal, they can go on either side. You bring this part of the wing down a little bit, and then as you can see, that fits around that. So you're just going to kind of tuck it in there as best you can. And then once everything's around, just close down the top part and it'll snap in. And then close down the bottom part and that'll snap in. If I have it in place, I may not have it right in place. There we go. And that's it. So the wings pop on really simply, not nearly as much work as the Strike Freedom, but very cool effect. And then with the display stage, you can get this guy looking pretty awesome. So let's get these out of the way, and I'll show you the alternate hands we have, and then we'll move on. So he has two fist hands. I have one fist hand on him and one trigger finger hand, so I'll show you the other two. So fist hand right here, and then trigger finger hand. And by the way, the tabs on here, that's because instead of making a whole bunch of these just pop off and interchange, which is fine. They're not super loose. It's just like a standard ball peg, so no big deal there. So we have those, and then we have the sword holding hands, which have the thumbs up, nice sculpt. And then we have these open style hands, but these also have the energy effect shaded on there with the shiny blue and silvery white. So that's a really cool effect that I'm really glad they added that. Okay, so that's all the accessories. Let's take a look at the figure itself. Like I said, it's an older one, so we're missing some nice articulation points, but for the most part, it works, it's effective, and I'm happy with it. So let's go into it. Let's take a look. Okay, so the head is on that older joint where it kind of lifts up if you want it to, which I don't really mind because that allows you to have the head more posable, but it's kind of like a hinged ball joint for the lower part of the neck and then a standard ball peg for the top. But you can really pose the head with no trouble at all on this guy. So that's a really good feature, I think. For the shoulders, again, this is an older one, so we don't have that butterfly joint. That's really awesome. We just have a ball peg that lets this move around. The shoulder pad is hinged, and then the arm is hinged individually, and you can only get the arm up that far. It's enough, but it's definitely not as much as some of the newer figures. And of course, you can go all the way around forward. You can see right here where the bicep swivel is going to be, so that's not a problem at all. Really nicely hidden. It's not loose or anything, so that's good. Double jointed elbow, or is it? Maybe it's only a single. It's only a single? I didn't even realize that. I just opened this guy today, so I apologize. Only a single jointed elbow. This guy must be old. But you get 90 degrees, so I guess that's okay. It's not great, but it's probably enough for most posing situations. And then for the wrists, we have a standard ball peg. So again, he's going to be functional, but not fancy in terms of the articulation. So don't get too excited over the articulation. For the torso, we do have a hinge here, but it's pretty useless, and I don't think it extends. It doesn't pop out to give us better range of motion, so it's just that little bit. And that's probably good because it's too loose, and the wings are going to weigh it down. It does have some side-to-side play, but not a whole lot. Most of the torso articulation is going to come from that ball peg at the very bottom of the torso. I am most likely just going to keep it squared up because, like I said, it doesn't have the greatest range and it's a little floppy. So his age does show in some places. For the skirt armor, we have these standard ball pegs, but it does get in the way a little bit. It's not as well movable as it would be nice to have. The side piece especially doesn't give us that much range of motion at all. You're just going to really want to rotate it more than anything. The hips now are technically just your standard ball sockets. If I can get that somewhere to show you, I can't really. You can kind of see in there, just a standard ball socket. And the way it's made, without getting too technical, it's not supposed to ratchet, but it kind of has this weird ratcheting because of the way the molds are. But that's really as far as you're going to get the leg up, which is probably enough. I mean, realistically speaking, you don't need to go any higher. And then out to the side, that's about as far as it's going to go. So again, it's probably enough, but it's not anything special. And then the way they did the thigh swivel is this whole white piece rotates, but as you can see, it's going to hit the crotch. So you don't really get any thigh swivel unless you kind of force it out there. So it's not ideal at all. You're going to get just a little bit. So don't expect a huge thigh swivel. Now the knee joint, pretty standard. It's technically a double joint and you get the leg pretty far back, so I'm okay with that. For the ankle, we get this, you can kind of see in there, that ball peg. That's how the ankle moves around. So that's all we get forward and back. Side to side we have that, plus you can see the hinge right there. Pretty obvious. So we do get a really nice ankle rocker, which I like. But without having a good vertical movement, it's hard to make that ankle rocker effective. So it's not bad. And then the toe does come up a little bit, which you guys know I really appreciate. But it's still not a whole lot, and we still do get that really low toe joint for no apparent reason. So, I mean, it depends how you want to pose him. For me, I'd rather pose him on the ground than in the air for most Gundams. This guy's probably going to be in the air, so I guess the ankles are okay. They just aren't super great. Definitely good enough though. I mean, I'm not upset with it, especially for being an old one. I'm still more than happy to have it, and I think you will be too. Paint job on this guy is definitely fine. There's quite a bit of paint on here. I mean, most of them don't have so much, but he's got a fair bit, and it looks pretty good everywhere. Especially I like the pink inner wings with the silver on there. That's really nicely done. Looks good. It stands out nicely while he's posed. You can see the silver and red for the thrusters back here, the blue trim. Everything looks good, so I'm really happy with this guy. Especially like the way they did the face. It's a nice and clean job. So really happy with this guy. I think you guys will like it a lot if you pick it up. If you can hunt one down, good luck with that. He's hard to come by, because I think people pretty much just keep him once they have him. He's a good figure. So stick around, I'll show you some photos of him. I do recommend him though. Of course, this guy's not available at Big Bad Toy Store because he's long sold out, but they do carry all of the Robot Damashii figures, including the Bandai Japan or the web shop exclusive figures. So make sure you check out Big Bad Toy Store in the description below. I'm sure you'll find what you're looking for, as long as it's fairly recent Of course, they don't carry super old stuff because they sell out, but they do carry all of the robot Damashii. So check them out. Make sure you give me that thumbs up if you appreciated this video, and make sure you subscribe to the channel, which I appreciate, so that you can see my upcoming figure reviews, custom figures, and other good stuff. And in the meantime, keep collecting.